Hey guys, it's Hima here, and I've got a skinny dip for you. It's a close look at ES futures, that's E-mini S&P 500 futures, and the SPY. Today is Wednesday, October 16th, 2019. Before we take a look at the charts, important reminder that trading and investing can be extremely risky business. Therefore, it's your responsibility to evaluate any information, opinion, advice, or other content contained in this video. So I had a really awesome review session with members of the Four Zones RSI coverage system today, and a couple of them asked about these S&P index related markets. So the first was the ES, which I also cover every day in the full skinny, so I know it well. Now, here is the chart I use to study the ES, okay? It's got a lot of noise, a lot of action, a lot of analysis on it, and now I'm going to take you over to a chart where I'm going to just focus in on what's happening right now. So here it is, like an onion, peeling back all the layers. Here's the raw price data and raw RSI power zones data, and I want to bring your attention to a couple things. So we had an inside trading day today, October 16th. Now everything that happens after 4:15 p.m. Eastern, but before 9:30 a.m. Eastern on October 17th is what I refer to as the overnight, okay? It's just in between those two regular sessions. So in this overnight action, so far, we're just dipping a little lower, and that could continue. And the reasons why I think it's more likely to continue lower than higher are the following. Number one, we have price that is in a time cycle where it's more ready to make a high as opposed to a low or an acceleration higher. Number two, price is hanging out at an important resistance level. So when you look back at the highs that came in September, okay? So September 13th and 19th. See how there was a range of resistance that started to form at 2991.25. That's the low of the September 19th bar. This is a whole range of resistance that's coming in. It doesn't mean price can't get above it. It just means that it's like having a really thick ceiling above. It's just harder to break through. So that's another reason why I think we're more likely to see a little bit of a dip lower. And then the final, third major reason is that the RSI power zones are weakening from the bear resistance power zone and from a potential signal here that's defined by the trend line. I go into that signal in depth in the Four Zones RSI coverage system. So this is what I'm watching on the daily chart. Now I'm going to take this same chart and I'm simply going to change it to a 60-minute time frame. So this gives you a sneak peek at how I look at this every day on a 60-minute chart to show you what else might be brewing. So notice the trend lines that I had drawn automatically shifted into place. And on a 60-minute chart, you can see a couple things happening. So I'm going to remove some of these resistance zones. And right now, you can see that in the run-up that we've had since the October 9th low, for the first time in a while, price is spending a lot more time going down, correcting lower, than it has been doing on the previous downward moves since the 2881.75 low. That alone is not a bearish signal, but that coupled with coupled with all the things I detailed on the daily chart, just have me not super excited about this index right now. So I will fine-tune this on my daily report for members, but I just want to bring everyone's attention to what is happening on the daily chart that I'm seeing as not super exciting, okay? Now let's see how this is all looking for SPY. So SPY, we just type that ticker in. And here we have a similar looking chart, not surprising. Here we also have it price backing off as the RSI is backing off from the bear resistance power zone. Notice the last two times that happened, there was significant weakness. And we're also near those resistance levels based off those September range highs. So just in an area of potential to slowly start turning over, rolling over, and maybe correcting down a little bit. Now, how far down might we go? The first place I look is the middle of the last significant move. So here, that's from the October 8th to October 15th period. And if I look at the midpoint, that's 294.12. Notice how 294.12 is really, really close to 294.21, which is the high of this gap from the October 10th range. Okay, so if there's any sort of weakness here, 294.12 on SPY might provide good support. And this should be blue for resistance. Okay, now we always have to be aware of the alternate scenario, meaning what happens if what our evidence is saying now doesn't actually pan out, right? So if futures continue higher, if the SPY continues higher from the current levels, where do we expand out to? Well, there's a couple things. Number one, there's a huge barrier here that would need to be worked through for price to move on to new highs. This consists of the July 26th, September 12th, and September 19th highs, and it's almost the exact same dates on the ES, okay? So that's the next upside target. I wouldn't look far beyond that just yet because we have to work through some serious resistance there if this market's gonna push on higher. So that's the upside target to watch. Now, if that upside target gets broken through, then I use Gann projections. So I take Gann's way of measuring, breaking down price into 8 equal parts, and then I use that relationship and project. Similar to how you would do Fibonacci projections, except I'm using Gann ratios instead of Fibonacci ratios. So I'll bring those numbers into my analysis and into the conversation if price is going to keep climbing higher and breaking above these levels. But until then, I am looking at these barriers as something very important to watch, and I would be cautious about long positions on these this SPY and ES right now because I just think they have limited upside. It doesn't mean they're not going any higher. I just think it's limited. So that is my close look at ES and SPY. Hope it helps you navigate the trading days ahead. Those of you with the full skinny, I will see you in tomorrow's report. Catch you next time.